Well, I think pretty much we covered the balance between fluency and accuracy. Would you agree?
Yes,
Yeah.
we
Then
did.
we have attitude towards
Mhm.
mistakes. Attitude towards mistakes.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, you missed, try again. Like the Wii game. I was playing the Wii game and I sucked at playing Wii. Guitar, Wii, or trying to play golf. And what if pop up on the screen? Try again. Try again. And that's what we have to do. Try again.
Yeah, and I think this brings up something else we could talk about. That is this new, not new, but in Brazil it's kind of new. The notion of English, of world Englishes, or English as a lingua franca, or English as an international language. We know that in the academic literature there are differences between world languages, world Englishes, and English as a lingua franca, between English as a lingua franca and English as an international language. But let's pretend it's all the same, right? Let's pretend it's all the same. But anyway, we're talking about a type of English that we use, and we used to talk to people that are not necessarily people that were born in English-speaking countries. Yeah, and I don't like to use the term native speaker because we don't really know.
This is for, Guarani, this is for, right?
Yeah, and we know that we don't really know what a native speaker is. So to define a native speaker is very difficult. So I'm not going to go into that. But I think to think about mistakes and attitude towards mistakes, it's important to reflect on what kind of English we're talking about, right? Nowadays, we tend, and also the BNCC explicitly brings inglês como língua franca, right? To be taught in schools. And that brings along different attitudes in relation to what a mistake is. So in the past, for example, we would insist on having students producing certain sounds perfectly, or not making any mistake with the bloody ass in the third singular person, right?
I see.
Now, if you look at that from the perspective of English as a lingua franca or English as an international language, some things lose importance. For example, and some other things gain importance, because what becomes more important is intelligibility, right? So, for example, in terms of intelligibility or communication, it's much more important to emphasize the ed sound at the end of the verbs, for example, than the s in the third person singular, right?
Right.
Because if you miss an s, if you say she come here, of course the person will understand.
Exactly. There is no communication break.
Exactly, no problem. Okay, you're not using perfect grammar, but no problem in communication. But if you say, I answered Eddie a question.
Yeah, that is a sound that will.
I watched it.
Heard to some speakers.
Exactly.
Some
if you say
speakers, and that goes into the social aspect, which is that when initially language was only spoken and then it turned into written, the written aspect of the language was trying to impose on the spoken aspect of the language the same standards. And people that would not be able to mirror that standard, that prescribed from prescriptivism aspect of the language, they would not match that. They would feel less, or they would feel not able to carry out on a conversation, and that creates a barrier.
Yes, exactly. So this is very important to think about, because this changes. Well, first of all, if you're aware that your attitude as a teacher changes, because your focus will change, right? You will stop insisting that your student produces the bloody TH sound perfectly, and it doesn't make any difference if I say thank you or thank you, because people will understand anyway. But if you say...
You have to let them know. You have to let them know. Listen, if you really want to bring up your accuracy to this level, why don't you exercise a little bit? This is the way. We show them the way. But you tell them what really matters is that they are able to convey their ideas, to articulate with any other speaker, either from English-speaking country or another country where English is a language that will connect to them. And the importance that he is there to connect with whatever he needs to do.
So we can think of that as levels of accuracy. So there are some elements that are crucially important for you to be understood, for you to keep the conversation going, and for you to be intelligible. So first of all, what comes to my mind is the ED sound, which is something people don't understand. When we say washed, talked, they don't understand, right?
I have another example from my learners. His name was Todd. And when you pronounce the name Todd, people will say Todgy. And he was able to realize, it took him a while to see why are people calling me that way, but then he understood.
Yeah, so I think there is, we come again to the issue of the balance between accuracy and fluency. So I think that when you understand that there are levels of accuracy, and the more you become aware of this intelligibility that you are going through, the more you work on your accuracy and on your fluency, then learning becomes more meaningful, I think. Right?
Yeah, because learning is based on content.
Yes.
You agree? Yeah, yes. You needed to ignite people's curiosity in order to invest their time understanding, 60 minutes inside classroom or in a Zoom conference with other 5-10 people. There's going to be something that is going to stimulate their curiosity in order to keep them focused on that.
Yeah, and there's something else related to this topic we're talking about, the attitude towards mistakes. There are some authors that say that to work on our mistakes, we need to notice our own mistakes.
Exactly. You've got to know where you are. You've got to learn about yourself.
Yes, and some people don't notice. So in many occasions, we teachers have to turn that, to make that explicit to the student by showing where things are. So this awareness or this consciousness doesn't happen out of the blue many times. Some people have this ability, but some people don't. So we do have to bring some things from the implicit to the explicit to make the person realize that, for example, certain aspects can be improved or not. So sometimes they cannot hear their own mistakes. Right.
Which is exactly the film, My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
She was a good speaker, but she was not saying that properly.
Yeah.
Or according to what they wanted. It's a magnificent film. If people have a chance to try, My Fair Lady.
There is lots of criticism towards that film because, of course, nowadays we also see how he imposed his culture, his language, his
power.
On her. So we could talk about that too, but that's not
she was someone that also stood up for herself. She ended up showing exactly the way she was.
But we also have to.
The scene when they are in a horse race and she's talking, she starts talking about her family. that's majestic. That scene is wonderful. The way, just by beautifully speaking language as a queen, she had people just faint and drop by because she said what she meant.
Yeah, we have to take into account that play, it's a play, right? My Fair Lady is based on Pygmalion by Bernard Shaw. It was written in, I think, well, that film is from 1964. So I think the play is from the beginning of the 60s or the 50s, I'm not sure. Again, I'm back in my literature classes.
Which is wonderful, right? Which is great. Yeah. That is why history can really coordinate everything and help us much more to understand the present situation.
Exactly. So, but anyway, at that time, it was normal to carry out a process like that, right? Nowadays, in terms of culture, we would have to respect the way she speaks, but give her more elements to speak another language, because he was teaching her another language, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like us, right? We change register depending on who we're talking to, right?
We do.
That's basically the same thing. If you talk to your neighbor, you're going to use a certain type of language. If you're talking to someone who is above you in terms of hierarchy, your boss or I don't know, you're going to change. So that's also learning languages.
Yeah, and I dream that one day we will find some magical lexical structures that can connect all registers in a good way. I dream of that. The more we are able to communicate to people of various degrees of register, right, in different linguistic register, the better we are able to communicate. I think.
Yeah. That's good.
I was listening to Leandro Carnal and Felipe Ponde last night.
Oh, that's great.
It is hard.
Yes. I love these guys.
Sometimes they break through. Sometimes they have a breakthrough to access,
yeah, that's true.
Mere mortals.
Exactly.
And I think that goes a little bit, it scratches number 4, which is exposure to the language.
Yes. I think this is something that is like a consensus. Everybody knows that the more you expose yourself to the language, the more you get, right? And I think nowadays things are much easier than things were in the past, because with the internet and with the possibility of having videos and so many things, so many good things online, it's much easier for everyone, regardless the age, to be, exposed to the language, to choose what you like listening, to choose what you like watching. So there is no excuse for not being exposed to the language, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
This is important.
You were just bombarded. I'd say we are just bombarded with input 24/7. Tomorrow people are organizing a hashtag Silence Day, a day without media. I see that on my social media. People are trying to a silence day, so that people can calm down, relax, focus, and really try to, by talking with themselves, which line am I going to follow? What am I going to believe now? What is really relevant to me as my identity? What am I doing with this? I don't need the social media just to not mirror myself with anybody else, because my being an individual, it is unique and powerful, and then we only expose ourselves to things that are really important to us.
Yes, yes. And it's got to do with motivation as well, right? Because everybody knows, you read what you're interested in. You listen to what you're interested in. So it's a great tool to learn a language, right? I've been doing that myself because I'm trying to improve my Spanish. My son got married to a Mexican girl.
Oh, interesting. Great. Join
Yes.
Polyglotta, you know, I
Yes.
can add you there, and you have the opportunity to practice language.
Yes.
with us.
And we didn't have the opportunity to meet her parents yet because of the pandemic, but we would if everything, you know, had happened as we had planned. But anyway, we will. And I'm trying to improve my Spanish. So I've been doing that myself. I read news in Spanish. I listen to songs in Spanish.
Such a rich culture, such a rich culture.
There's so many interesting things. So I'm trying to improve by exposing myself to Spanish much more than I used to. So because of my work, I was very much used to reading in Spanish. So reading is okay. But, you know, talking about normal daily life things, you know, chit-chatting and things like that. So I need to improve. So I do believe in this, in the power of exposure, especially if you like what you're being exposed to. And motivation. Exactly. So my motivation is very personal. And of course, it's professional as well, because I also have colleagues that work in Colombia, in Chile, in Argentina. I'm part of a Latin American Association of Language Testing and Assessment. And our meetings normally have to be carried out in English because of me, because I don't speak Spanish. And I feel so bad.
That would be, yeah. But I totally understand you. I totally understand. I traveled to Buenos Aires in 2019. I was there for 4 days in Buenos Aires. I had trouble at the airport. And then when I got in trouble at the airport because of the situation there, I thought I was going to be able to address them in Spanish. Big mistake. I could not take a word. And then out of nowhere came this English dominant fluency that I started just fire away with English, what I needed, what was my problem, because they left me unattended there someplace. In 2 minutes, 3 guys showed up. So there is something about this. If you go into a language which is not the mother tongue language in the place where you are, people act, people prefer. But it is sad at the same time, as you say, why wouldn't I be able to engage in Spanish? Why not? Why my unconscious language brain, why my unconscious brain told me, go in English. Why was that?
Yes, and I confess I feel bad because of that, because I think I should speak much better Spanish than I do, and I'm making an effort to. So
welcome to Polyglot. We will help you.
Good, thank you very much. So that's it. I think about attitude towards mistakes, I think that's fine, and I've been working on my attitude towards mistakes. So I know I make mistakes, but I'm fine with that in terms of Spanish.
Tell me something that you do. Would you tell me one exercise? I'll tell you what I do with my Italian, because I love Italian. I have always loved Italian. And now, because of Polyglot, I have reconnected, and I am in 2 or 3 groups where we practice Italian. What I do is, I had lessons with a teacher who is also a linguist, Robson, right, from Quarentena Polyglota. And there was three months, where we would every Monday sit together and have a 2-hour lesson. But when I have to write, because I want to follow what people were expressing in the group, it's relevant to me. I go Google, I have the idea, I start the sentence, Google gives me, what was missing. It's usually a little bit broken Italian, but I go and I try and I and I ask people, please correct my mistakes. And this is how it goes. So I think, all our 5 topics are very much weaved in the same thing.
Fantastic.
We have to take risks making mistakes. We need to balance the needed to communicate versus the perfect accuracy. Our attitude has to be the one to embrace mistake and see where you go from there, because we are exposed to any language used in an unconscious and conscious way at the same time.
Yeah, and enjoy what you're doing, right?
Exactly. Have fun.
Have fun. I think this is one of the greatest things of learning a language. You have to have fun. And if you don't, then it's a big problem.
Any final comments?
No, not for now.
What about that effort of yours with taking part into blah blah blah? Talk about. Are you still
blah blah logia? Well, blah blah logia was an invitation I had from a guy. Well, actually, my son was making videos for this educational website.
It's so nice, without our kids, we would be lost.
Exactly. And he was publishing some videos there, and they said, we need somebody to talk about English. And then I said, well, it's not me, because I'm not a YouTuber, so you find somebody else. And then he said, no, you could do something. I said, no, I don't want to talk about English lessons. I think there are plenty of good teachers online, so you don't need me. But then I said, well...
But you have your own pinch song.
Yeah,
you
because...
add up to it.
Yeah, then I thought, well, maybe if you really want me to talk about something, I could talk about etymology, which is my pet subject. I love etymology. And then I started doing some research, and that kind of grew because I involved some of my students at UNB, and it was fine. So we could produce 14 videos on Blablalogia about different words. And they were homemade videos. The quality is horrible, but it was a good experience. And
the one about the famous gag or the fabulous, fabulous gag.
Yeah,
nobody should miss that. I will leave the link to that in the description.
Thank you. I like all of them. I like very much one that I made about the word bug. And that's a very interesting one. And then, I also like the ones I made about the word fire. But they were all made out of my own curiosity, like, why do we say he is fired and fire is fogo? So what the hell? How could this word become dismiss? And then it makes, what's the connection? How does a word starts having so many different meanings, and because I think this is interesting.
All right, definitely.
And then I'm planning to go back to this project, but as soon as I have some time. But I do love etymology. So again, it's because I enjoy the topic, and I think people enjoy it too, because many people saw the videos and liked them. So it's something interesting to add up.
Exactly, I'm sure. And I hope you will get a lot more invitations after our first talk. I have enjoyed it tremendously, Gladys.
My pleasure.
I cannot put into words how grateful I am to your being here and us being able to catch up in a way that it seems that we pretty much love what we do.
Yeah,
so
we do.
It was fun. It was really fun.
It was. Thank you so much. It was lovely to talk to you. I'm sorry I can't manage to open my video. I don't know why. But anyway, we can schedule a conversation any other day if you like.